without any pressure of anything else besides that. And, the Russian women and the French women would always sit off to the side, and I'd open the door from the kitchen and just stand there, and, we would talk to very nice women. And they would actually share some of their recipes. And to this day, I still have some of those recipes that they came up with or they tried, and, their little techniques that they use. So it was cool.
I love it. That is one thing cool about being a chef is that, man, the opportunities to learn and change things up, it's all over if you're listening and talking to people, for sure. Everybody's got to eat, right?
Oh yeah. And it's fun to watch them eat your food and see how much they enjoy it. That's what brings us pleasure.
Well, I tell you,
for what we do.
It's interesting when you say that you have no interest in doing anything brick and mortar. There's so many things these days that are shifting away from brick and mortar in so many aspects of life, whether it's even the whole mobile working and people not having to go into an office. So I think it's interesting that you're filling a need right now, and truly enjoying it, man. I mean, I see you out and about, and you are having fun doing what you do.
Right. I love what I do. I absolutely love. And having the team and the foundation around me makes it even more enjoyable. It truly does. I mean, that's not something that I could just say and feel good about it and hope people think, oh, Alek, it's cool. I truly, truly love. And I know there's so many people out there who, like Cameron, especially Cameron, when we're out in the middle of nowhere and he knows we need to pack the trailer and get back to, to get to the next location and start the setup, because typically it's just a 2-hour prep time there. So, but when at the end of the night, I'm going through the trailer, I'm picking out the produce and the meats and everything and getting things. I know Cameron wants me to come and enjoy the evening life. And when I'm out there doing what I'm doing, it's hard for them to understand that I'm enjoying what I'm doing. It's like meditation.
No, I think there's people that are listening that could put that into perspective in their own way. That's a lot of times is how I can be behind the wheel from just a therapeutic standpoint.
Right.
Well, hey, so let's kind of keep continuing down this path a little bit. I think it's interesting that you've chosen a style of service that matches the name of your business, or vice versa. And I think it's cool how we live in a world today where we can zero in on a certain type of product or service in a niche. And I'm wondering, what are you learning about business as you niche down into? I mean, you said you're not doing, or less of the corporate stuff and more of just the event stuff. What are some tricks of the trade? If there's people that are listening that are entrepreneurs or interested in servicing a niche audience, are you learning anything about doing business and finding new customers in the same space?
Absolutely. Every day, whether we're out in the middle of nowhere or in a congested situation, we're always figuring out a better way to make it not so much easier, but to not incorporate too much stress to what we need to do. We're already carrying the stress from the client because, they want to make sure everything goes right. So we kind of just like balance out our minds. And, a big part of it is being organized. Organization and logistics are the key elements to this. Knowing what meats and what proteins and vegetables and things of that nature need to be processed at what point in time they need to be processed, and what is available. As far as the business part of it, if you could figure these things out, you will be able to run a successful business smooth and not have to worry about all the other elements of business. So keeping my team smaller helps out a tremendous amount. And it's unfortunate and it's fortunate because that's just the structure of my business. I want to keep it small. I want to concentrate on the client. So basically when the clients see that, okay, well, we're doing what they're asking for, what their needs are, and maybe even taking it to the next level. Beyond that, will introduce us to more business, and that's what we've been doing. We really don't advertise, and the truck has been around for 3 years, and I've been with Cameron for 8 years, so it's really word of mouth. And I really like that also in the business sense, because people who call us for service, they know what they're going to get.
So I think what I'm hearing you say, Alek, is in essence providing good service, quality product, and then relying on word of mouth has built your business. And I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that that was kind of I'm glad you've explained your situation, but I wanted to go back a little further to something else you said and wrap this all up together in a nice package, and that is it's amazing how, and I don't believe we can give Baja all the credit, because there's other places that the same kind of thing can happen. But when you recreate with people in a professional setting, or you provide a professional service in a recreational setting that is unique, and Baja is definitely unique, it's amazing the kind of bond you create with people, and then the opportunities that come from that. And I'm going to this place because I want to encourage people that are listening. I think sometimes we say yes or no to doing something, going somewhere, participating in something based on what we think we might get out of it, which is the wrong way to think anyways. I mean, in reality, we should always be thinking about what can we give. But I think where I was going with this is that there's always the surprise if you've got your eyes open and you're willing to kind of think a little non-traditionally. There's so many opportunities that exist when you're just out and about meeting people and being authentic and real. So I have a hard time believing that when you took the first job with Cameron, or you took up the offer to go and do the first meal for Cameron's Rip to Cabo motorcycle ride in Baja, I doubt highly, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you would have painted the picture connecting the dots from that first meal to what you are doing today for business. Is that a fair statement?
It is. But again, back then, I would still, even if I didn't meet Cameron, I would have still, the services that I provide would be exactly what I did for him. Oh, yeah.
No, and that's what I'm not discounting that at all, Alek. What I'm saying is that it's just, that's a prerequisite. You know, you're not going to get the recommendations or referrals or continue to be in business if you're not providing quality stuff. It's always it's fascinating how each little decision we make opens doors for different decisions. And for me, the decisions so many times do span or connect back to Baja in some way. And that was all I was trying to point out.
Oh, yeah.
No, the quality of yeah. I mean, let's face it. In your situation, what we're talking about is the food that you create and the ambiance that you create around it. And there's no question. Anybody that hasn't had food from off the grid catering is missing out. Find a way to get some of it. Particularly, yeah. What are your? Let's go ahead. Let's do that. Let's go down this road here a little bit. I'm not going to force you to share recipes, but let's talk about some of the famous items on the menu that I know I've been able to partake of.
Well, you know what one of them is, and the video clip that Emma put together that's on on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, it was pretty cool. And I really enjoyed that day making the wraps out there, the jerk chicken wrap and short rib wrap.
Jerk chicken and short rib wraps, I'm telling you. Yeah. Minus the cilantro. I've got to bow out from the cilantro. But, yes, minus the cilantro.
You're not the only one.
Oh, you don't like cilantro either?
No. Well, we know people that don't like cilantro.
Okay.
But, sometimes I have to not fool people, but I just mention that it's coriander. And as long as they don't hear the cilantro word, we're good. But
unless they're an avid cilantro hater, because a true cilantro hater knows that coriander's code word for cilantro.
Okay.
So don't try to pull that one on me.
I won't now. That's funny. But when we're doing the trip, I mean, as far as the Baja trips, I like when the guys are coming up to me and asking me, when are we doing teriyaki? You know, teriyaki. Dejan has a trick or a saying. He goes, you know, the same old teriyaki. I told him I could never get that off the menu because they love it so much. And it's not something I would take off. Everybody really enjoys it. And I try to do that on the Pacific Coast side every time for some reason. It just seems like the appropriate place. And as far as the grilled skirt steak with chimichurri and the chicken marsala, that's always a great combination out there too. I enjoy doing those at the hotels because, you know, when we get into the hotel situation, we have the kitchen crew and, you know, they're doing their thing and they still have to provide for all the people who are using the hotel. It's not just us. But I really enjoy opening up the buffet to them as well and introducing them to different flavors.
Them, meaning the people involved in the kitchen staff at the hotels you go to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to kind of paint the picture for the listeners here, when Alex is talking about going to the hotels, it's not that he's inside cooking and serving food necessarily in the restaurant of a hotel. Lots of times we're eating it out in the parking lot or somewhere else, and you're just utilizing the parking lot and or some of the kitchen stuff to be able to help cook. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And the crew.
Yeah. Well, so. Yeah. I'm still kind of curious about this transition from being a traditional caterer with your brother to now being off the grid, and so you said you've been doing camera stuff for 7 or 8 years. What was? I mean, had you been to Baja before, and what were your impressions in the beginning, and how did all of that kind of play out over the last 7 or 8 years?
You know, I've never been to Baja, you know, been introduced to Baja because, you know, we, as a family, we tend to, you know, just use local resources. We never traveled I never traveled outside of the United States until I did take a trip in '82 to Mexico City. And I really enjoyed that part of the trip. But prior to or after that, I never went into Baja. It's something I've heard about. We have family members who are in the off-road industry, and they would talk about it. So when Cameron called me and I told them that, hey, you know, Cameron wants me to do this thing, he was like, oh man, that's super cool, you know. And now they're fans. They're fans of the whole thing, and which is nice. 7, 8 years going into Baja, you know, you really can't. Every time we go down there and we do a trip, it's so hard to describe to people what we see, you know, and what we do, and the people that we meet, especially because the people are amazing. Number one, their land is beautiful, and it's really hard to explain. Baja is a beautiful hidden gem, and there's so much of Baja that I haven't been able to see. When I watch the shows like Rip the Cabo Trail Missions and I see them taking their trucks and doing their deal, I really, really enjoy watching that because that's what I don't get to see. So now I get to see. I get to see the missions. I get to see the cactus that they run into. And, you know, Baja is it's a beautiful place, and I highly recommend for everyone to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, that goes without saying. Go to Baja. If you listen to this podcast, go to Baja. And thank you for reiterating that. I am curious, though, your first time down there, was there ever a point where you were like, no, I can't do this, or no, that won't work, or where you were being asked to because you do some amazing things in the middle of nowhere. And I'm wondering, were you always like, yeah, I can always do this, or did you kind of learn by doing that? Oh my gosh, yeah, we can do some pretty cool stuff in the middle of nowhere.
You know, as long as you have fire and cooking equipment and food, anything can be done. I mean, you really just need to look at what you have, and you could always. My friends back in the day used to love when I would come over because they would say that I could take an empty cupboard and make something delicious out of it. And, you know, I take the same challenge once